watch YouTube, what do you want? Information, education, entertainment. No matter what it is you're watching YouTube for, there needs to be a story. This is my story. Welcome to the Russell Journal. My name is Russell, and today this is my journal entry for today, October 21st, Friday, October 21st, 2022. What we need to talk about with the Russell Journal is we need to set up this story. You guys need to I want you to be very clear and understand what the story is here, because this is not, the channel's not meant to be some boring thing where I'm just reading off charts and reading off news headlines. The story here is my story. And the reason I think that you would be interested in my story is because it could very easily be your story too. So where we need to begin is, who am I? What gives me any right to talk about the stock market? And what's the conflict? What am I trying to do? Well, my name is Russell, as you can tell. And my desire is to be is to be a professional day trader, or to be a professional trader in general. I don't care if it's day or otherwise. But getting here was a bit of a battle. I grew up in Montana. We grew up incredibly poor, and we struggled with things. When I got into my adult years, I tried many different occupations. I tried many different jobs. Everything from changing people's oil to doing basic, carpentry work to retail sales. And where I found my dream at that point was to be a professional musician, and that did not work out. After really trying in the music industry for a while, not really being successful, I really saw where it had its limits, right? And so I moved into culinary arts. I had already been working in restaurants to support my music career, and I thought, well, if the music career is not working out right now, this is paying the bills, and I would move into culinary, where I would spend pretty much 20 years of my life as a chef. I didn't like food. I never liked restaurants that much. What kept me going there was something that I thought was very interesting, which was analytics. Knowing what little things you could do that made a restaurant work, what made it make money, what made its employees successful in their positions, all of those things. Little did I know that all of this stuff that I was discovering about myself through the restaurant industry was going to lead me to the stock market and make me fall in love with it. So as of now, anyway, I would spend hours as a chef doing things like counting how many times one of my cooks turned around, how many different, for each individual dish they would reach and they would grab item A, item B, item C, right? How many different times they touched the plate before it left the kitchen. These were the things that really excited me in the kitchen, because it meant that we could build efficiency, productivity, profitability, and we could make the work experience even more enjoyable for our employees, right? As well as make it more enjoyable. Quicker service is always better as far as a guest is concerned. I didn't know that all of those things were going to lead me to the stock market. And after spending 20 years in the culinary industry, I spent the last 2 years trying to start my own culinary business. One was a meal prep company that was just completely, no market for it. And what market there was absolutely saturated. And then I started my own restaurant consulting business. And when I realized that the problem with that business was undercapitalization, I got drunk and imploded the whole company. It didn't just step out politely. And I knew from that moment on that I was basically done with the culinary industry. I began trying to search and explore. One of the things I realized is that the problem with why I wound up in an industry that I didn't really like, although I like certain behaviors about it, one of the problems is that I never chose the culinary industry. I got put there. I just so happened to be there, and I just so happened to try and take it to its conclusion without any consideration to whether or not that industry offered me any sort of meaning. Okay, so when I left the culinary industry, it was because I knew that was, I had learned some things. I'd grown. I'd gotten a lot of skills. I had gotten ability to think and understand business and these things. But I knew that wasn't the industry for me. And I knew that one of the problems that I had in my early years was I failed to explore. I simply just said, well, I pick a job, and that job could take me to a final conclusion. And that final conclusion would essentially become good enough for me. I never gave any consideration to what I might really, where and how I might actually find meaning. So I began to explore, and I explored. I went back to college. I studied neuroscience and chemistry and English and writing, and I began really exploring all sorts of things. And then in 2020, you all know that COVID happened, and schools shut down. And I was no longer able to go to school in the traditional sense. And so my learning sort of stopped. But at the same time, something happened that was absolutely incredible. And that was in early in the spring of 2020, the stock market crashed. And it didn't just crash, it saw a crash unlike anything it had ever seen before. And for the first time ever in history, the value of oil in itself went negative. And I basically realized that this was an opportunity to develop some actual financial freedom. And so what I did is I went in and I opened up a Robinhood account, like so many people did during the pandemic, and started trying to figure out how to buy stocks related to oil, or how to buy oil itself, or anything of that nature. My assumption was that if oil is negative, one day it's going to not be negative, and I would be able to make a significant profit. Now, most of you were around during 2008, that whole market collapse, and those of you who also know that during 2008, those who went in and bought property in that time spent the next 10 years of their life getting very, very wealthy. I thought the same thing would happen, as houses were cheap in 2008. I thought oil stocks were cheap in 2020. So then I got into it, and I realized I had no idea what I was doing. No clue what I was buying, why I was buying it, where everything's at. So what did I do? I turned to CNBC. And the talking heads on CNBC told us all don't buy oil stocks. What they told us to do was buy oil storage and oil transportation. And I, like so many at the time, ran out and bought a little company called Nordic American Tanker. The ticker symbol was NAT. And I had thought, wow, I got in a great buy. The stock was around $5. It kept going up to $9. And then over the course of the next couple of months, the stock would just revert from $9 all the way to $3. And today it trades around $2 a share. Sorry about that. My chair did a weird thing. Anyway, where the loss that I took on that play confounded me. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand. The business seemed to be good. The management was good. Their overhead was low. And in doing the research, I found out that and the company had paid a dividend and paid it for 96 consecutive quarters. There are positive things to this stock, and I couldn't understand why such a positive stock would become why it would lose so much money. Not to mention, they were getting paid for oil storage, right? And I did some research and I found out some things about this particular company and this particular industry and realized that it wasn't very investable. Now, I won't bore you with all of the details. Maybe one day I'll do a review of that trade. But in doing so, in studying this and learning this, I realized that I found a spark, a passion, understanding companies, understanding business, understanding economics, understanding, the markets and the market structure, understanding those things. I was hooked. I couldn't stop. And for the last 3 years, I have not stopped. I haven't quit. The problem as of right now, and this is where we enter our conflict, is that uh, we the conflict here is that for all of the work I have done, for all of the books I have read, for all of the YouTube videos I have watched, for all of the practice I have made and time I've put in watching the screen, I am not any more profitable today than when I first started. And I know that doesn't have to be the case. I know that won't be the case. I know that if I never give up, that I can make it. I can do this. I can figure it out, and I can get myself positioned in a place where this can be my life. Is trading the markets, understanding, knowing the markets, and that's where now you come in, because I invite you on this journey. I've done a lot of the heavy lifting. Okay, I have read the books. I have studied the charts. I have learned all the economic information and reports and things of that nature. And so for this channel, I invite you to come on this journey with me. I invite you to really learn from me. Don't spend the same first 3 years. You don't need to. If you hang with me, I can show you all of the information that we need in order to do this and do it successfully. It won't be easy. It will be challenging. It will be hard. It does require lots and lots of practice. But going forward, and by all means, watch tomorrow's show, or not tomorrow's show, the Sunday show. I'm going to lay out the actual plan that is being put in place right now in order to make all of this happen. So, with all of that being said, I am Russel Liss. This is the Russel Journal. The Russel Journal is written, edited, hosted by Russel Liss. We are produced by Social Media Shows. Our executive producer is Maria Pereza. Go ahead, give Social Media Shows a check out. Go check out socialmediashows.com or look them up on any major social media platform. They're fantastic. In the meantime, or until tomorrow, pretend I said some sort of catchphrase.